Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This is episode 480. We've got a great guest. We've got JE O'Kane with us. She's a CPA, but she's also big in multimedia, podcasting, and we're going to be delving deep into why she went into podcasting, what have been the surprises in her journey in podcasting. Has she got any advice if you're looking to go into podcasting to promote your business or service? It's going to be a great discussion. We seem to be missing my co-host, the intelligent one and the good-looking one, Adrian, but he might be joining us. He might be having some technical troubles. Otherwise, I will be doing the interview, my beloved listeners and viewers. So, Jamie, can you give us just a quick intro about yourself and what you do?
So actually, I run a CPA firm here in the Denver area. We work primarily with women-owned veterinary clinics, and we help them grow and build sustainable businesses. I'm an advanced tax planner, so we're constantly looking for cash savings for all of our clients. So I have been doing that for a long time. I was a tax manager in a firm before that. Met my husband up at CSU. We have 2 kiddos, and we just put in an application for a rescue cat. So,
Meow.
yeah, we're really excited. Hopefully we get her. Her name is Gouda. I don't think that's what we'll keep her name to be, but her name is Gouda.
Right. So before we go into the main part of the interview, I'd like to talk about our major sponsor. It's been with us for the past couple of years. We host our WP-Tonic website with them, and that's Kinster Hosting. Now, what is Kinster Hosting, you might say? Well, if you're looking for superb hosting for yourself or for your clients, and you've got a WooCommerce website, you've got a membership site, got a learning management system like LearnDash or Lifter LMS, you need something better than your average bog standard GoDaddy account, or you're soon going to find out that you do. And if you're looking for some of the best value and some of the best hosting on the market, I suggest that you go over to Kinster and have a look at their plans. When I'm supporting other clients and they're not hosting with Kinster and we have to log in to their hosting providers, I always think, and I'm not trying to be funny here, I think I just couldn't leave Kinster. I couldn't go to what these people are offering, because what you get with Kinster, you get Google framework, so they host your website on the Google platform, but you get a customized interface that is just superb and so easy to use. Plus it all has the technical bells and whistles that you're looking for, not only for your own website but for your client's website. Plus, and this is the major thing, you get some of the best support I've ever had from a hosting company. And you only know about the importance of great support is when you really need it. And I've never, for client side or for my own, been disappointed with the support that I've got from Kinster. So if that sounds great, go over to Kinster, buy one of their packages, and the most important thing is tell them that you heard about them on the WP-Tonic podcast. So, Jamie, so what first got you into podcasting? What was the first thing that it came on your radar and you think, I thought I might give that a go?
I've had some people in my life who've been really good mentors for me, pushing me to do video or lives or something. They kept telling me, you're the CPA with a personality, you have a lot to offer, beyond just, pushing out tax returns. And people want to know that. People want to meet you. And for the longest time, I was looking for maybe to do just videos on the website and things like that. And then a good friend of mine was like, I just met this amazing podcast producer. You should talk to him. And I was like, podcasts? Huh. And I had never listened to a podcast before that. So I started listening to some podcasts and talked to my producer, and I said, okay, let's sign a, it was the year that I said yes to a lot of things that I didn't really know what I was saying yes to. I decided I'm just going to say yes to everything. So I said yes. I signed a 1-year contract, and here we are. We just put out the 74th episode this week.
Oh, so you've been doing it slightly over a year then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we launched our podcast in November of 2000. What year is it? 18. So yeah, we're about a year and a half in.
Right. So what was the reason that you thought this was going to be a good idea? Because, is it aimed at your target audience, which I think you said was veterinarians?
So our podcast is actually pretty general business. I interview all types of business owners. We talk about obstacles. We talk about successes. The real purpose of the podcast is what I do in my daily life, which is support business owners in a way that gives them tangible information. So, we're interviewing people from, productivity experts to culture experts, but we have a lot of veterinary people on there. Also, we have a lot of people that work with veterinarians on the podcast.
Right. And so what has been the response to the podcast in general?
It's been really, really positive. It's so fun when people are like, I just, or I'll get somebody that wants to be, thinks they want to be a client or whatever. And like, yeah, we've listened to a few episodes. And I'm like, what did you think? Tell me good things about, what you think. And everybody, it's just been really positive, and it's so fun. I love talking to people. I love, getting into the nitty gritty of, their businesses and their lives. And so it's actually, what I already do. We just get to record it.
All right. So you signed a contract for a company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more kind of hybrid. I have an editor that helps me edit, but I push that up to a shared Dropbox folder, and then he edits them and pushes back the edited version to me. But then I use Lipson. So does this production, do you just have to turn up at a designated time and then that he or she does the rest, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we work, his name is Stephen Andrews with Spotted Dog Media, and he's been on the podcast too. I've interviewed him a couple times. We generally do in person as much as possible. Those podcasts tend to do better for us. So he comes actually to my house, and we do all the recording here. And then I also do Zoom calls. As you know, you and I are recording next week. But we also do Zoom calls, and then I'll just send those over to him and he'll do the edits. But we do video and audio. Right. And then he also creates, a bunch of content clips through all that content for us. So he does most of that. And then it all goes up onto our Squarespace website, which then pushes to all of our...
I'll forgive you.
That's okay. Which pushes it out to all.
When you're ready for the light and the flexibility of WordPress, I'm there for you.
See, what I love about Squarespace, and I know you love WordPress, and we'll talk about kind of the differences. What I love about Squarespace is I can do stuff on there.
Well, you can do stuff on
I have a WordPress website, and it's, man.
The world's changing, Jamie.
With
page builders, it's become just as flexible as Squarespace with the right setup. But
that's how it was set up for us, and that's what we've been running on. So it's been really good.
I'll forgive you.
I know.
There you go. So, what have been some of the challenges or things that have surprised you so far in your podcast journey?
Yeah, I think the first thing that surprised me was how well it does. We have about 25,000 listeners a month, which I'm being told is really good numbers. So that's been really good. The other thing that has surprised me is how soon we got PR companies asking to wanting their people.
You're in the top 20%, James.
That's crazy. See, it just boggles my mind. It doesn't even register with me. So I think that has been the biggest surprise. The biggest challenge is, just the time to do the podcasts, because I run a busy CPA firm. So, but I have to say, podcasting is one of my favorite things. So it's pretty easy to make that time.
Yeah, if you really enjoy it, you do. That's so insightful. It's
like anything else, right?
Yeah, if you really like doing something and it's benefiting your business as well, it's difficult, but you normally will keep doing it, won't you?
Yes, it's really fun. I love interviewing people, so.
Now, so does your producer, does he or his company find the guests, or is it a mixture of you and, him finding guests?
So we generally find all the guests. I have an assistant, Emily. So she helps us find the guests. I actually have also been doing a lot of LinkedIn outreach into our industry. into the veterinarian space for the partners. There's not a lot of veterinarians on LinkedIn, but there's a lot of people that work with veterinarians on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So that's where a lot of our guests come from, and then also local networking groups.
And you have agencies also, because I think that's my lady that does outreach for me approached you as well.
And then we have a whole pile of agencies sending us their people.
So what are some of the main things you're looking for from a guest then? Because I look back, fortunately I haven't ever had a really, really terrible guest. I've had a couple. I've had to kind of calm down the Englishness of because when I first started, I had a couple of American guests that I call it the rabbit stare. They didn't quite know what the hell I was saying and what I meant. So I've had to calm it down a bit. So what do you think really makes a great guest, really, in general?
Anybody and it's so funny, I tell people all the time, all I need you to do is come talk about you. Come answer my questions about you and your business. It's pretty easy. We've had some, really deer in the headlights guests, people that wanted to be on the podcast, but were scared to, but it's really conversational styled. If you put me smack in front of a camera, I also do deer in the headlights. But if I get to talk to somebody, I'm happy to be on camera.
Yes. Well, yes. Well, I suppose it depends how it's approached. Also, I've also noticed, I think I've kind of have a reasonably good onboarding process.
Yes.
I find going on other podcasts, I find that in general, they haven't really hit the sweet point. Either they have literally no onboarding process. You literally just sent a link like half hour before the podcast goes live. No. Or they've got like a 5-form system and they're terrified that they're going to get the wrong guest on.
Yeah. I think, I'm all about processes and systems. That's one of my big strengths. But having an assistant on, we're working on that process. But so our process is if it's somebody I don't know and I've never met, I ask them to hop on a quick Zoom call with me.
Which you did with me.
Yes, I did. Just to meet and greet. So I just kind of have a better idea of who they are before we hop on. And then I go do my research, formulate my questions before. But we also make sure that, people know what to expect. Here's your link, here's, making sure everything is working. And then we actually are working on our process when people schedule, especially when we're doing the Zoom call ones. I have a podcast I'm going to be on next week. When we scheduled theirs, or my assistant scheduled me for their podcast, she was like, oh my gosh, their process. It was it was so many things they needed, but it was everything up front. So it's not like asking for bios on the back end and then I'm waiting for them so I can prep. So it was really, more forward end asking. And so we've kind of updated our process based on their process. And so that's been really helpful.
Well, I used to, I've gone back to sending a link to a very short form because, I didn't mean this, but we had a great guest on a few weeks ago and I didn't ask him to fill in the form. And then he came back and he said, well, you've used the wrong photograph. The photograph you used isn't me. Yeah. I looked at the one that he sent me and the one that I can't see the difference. But
that's funny.
So I've gone back to sending the form. Which I don't think I sent you, but you obviously you got a few pictures on the web.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them.
But we're going back to sending out the form just to make sure that we get the right image.
And for our cover photos, because we also do video, our cover photos have to specifically be landscape. And so, we have to specifically ask for that. And then we're scrambling sometimes because we're like, we don't have a photo. And then my producer will put up another photo of me and I'm like, can we not? So, we're just trying to streamline our process, but definitely those podcasts that have the good processes, the podcast people still, want to be on again.
Yes. It's just finding the balance. We're going to go for our break. We'll be coming back in a few moments. I'm going to be talking some more about podcasting, and I'm going to be talking a few questions about finance and freelancing and some of the tax avoidance and other problems that you should try and avoid at this time of year. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We had a great discussion so far with Jamie. My beloved co-host has missed this. I think he's missed a good one. I feel very relaxed with Jamie. Jamie's got a very relaxing voice. So have you gone, so when it came to the equipment, this is the other area where a lot of people get kind of fixated on.
Right.
What is the actual equipment that you use to record the sound and the video?
So my producer has all of his equipment. So when we do in-person podcasts, he just brings everything. And so we have, he's got all of his professional equipment. For Zoom calls, I have this guy, who's an Audio-Technica something, and my noise canceling headphones, so that if the children are running around behind me, I'm not that worried about it. So that's pretty much it. His equipment is his equipment. I don't know what he uses on the back end. I realized really soon in my business that there are certain things I need to learn how to do and certain things I don't need to learn how to do, and editing audio and video is not on my list of things. So he handles all of that stuff.
My first co-host, Bill, was a bit of I called him the sound Nazi. Because also when we were first starting, we were having to use Google Hangout, which is a terrible system, folks. I never used that for anything. And half the time we were pleased we actually got through a recording without it dropping, actually. And then we went on to Skype. Skype's not too bad. It has some rough edges to it. And then Zoom came on the market, and I think their sound quality over the past 2 to 3 years has moved on enormously. And I know there are some sound editors a little bit sniffy about using Zoom, but in general, I think you've got to be a real sound professional with that kind of ear to see the real difference, really. So.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. Our Zoom calls don't do as well as our in-person because the audio is not as good. So it's very interesting. We have good data to say that the Zoom calls don't do as well, which is really sad because I've had some really interesting people on.
I'm really fascinated.
So, part of it is me. So my voice goes in and out. That's how I talk. So I've had to learn how to stay my voice on. Part of it's me, part of it's, just the Zoom that's audio, but we use Zoom. So we're a virtual firm. So we use Zoom for all of our meetings. We use Zoom for, all of our client meetings. We are huge about Zoom. So it's been interesting. We also tried Stitcher for a little bit to see if we could get, better audio on the Zoom calls through that. It wasn't better. The Zoom calls are really our best option.
Yes.
For this type of podcast. So hopefully, but then the whole world's on Zoom right now. So, but today it seems to be working. I've had a few calls this week where everybody's internet is not working.
Wow. Because normally that's been one of the most attractive things about using Zoom. It's been pretty rock solid.
Yeah.
So, but like you say, your CPA firm, so you're all remote. What have been some of the benefits and what are some of the non-beneficial things that you think you get from being a distributed company then?
I think the big benefit is the ability to harness talent that I can't get here in the Denver area. Everything there's no accountants and there's a ton of accounting jobs. And
why is that?
They can't pay them enough. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's an interesting, I get job offers all the time. I have recruiters on LinkedIn constantly contacting me. No, I don't want to come work for your companies. I'm unemployable at this point. So I have to make this business work. It's just been the ability to harness new talent and the ability to, give our clients, access to people. I don't need an office. I've always run the firm from my house.
Right.
My coffee pot is right over there. If I need to take a nap, I can go upstairs. It's been really good for my family.
Napping is very important.
Yes, it's very good for my family, and it's been really good for my mental health, and my ability to, to take care of our clients in a productive way.
My partner, she doesn't understand because she's got a normal 9-to-5 job, but I work the most craziest hours, but then I can have a nap for like 40 minutes in the afternoon,
right.
But then I'll be working on something at midnight.
Yeah. It's just been good because I can run out, go do kids stuff, or if the kids are sick, we can stay here, they can stay home if they want to, it's been really good for my family to have me here.
Yeah.
And now that we're trying to get a new animal, I'm home, so it's good.
A new animal. So do you classify your children, husband as animals then?
Yes.
All right,
yeah, they are also animals, especially now because I'm stuck with them for at least the next 3 weeks.
All right, there we go.
They're all in my office.
Right. What about, how do you deal with clients that want, or conference meetings, where they want a one-to-one conference meeting?
We do Zoom calls or phone calls. We don't, if they're super local and they super insist on it, we'll meet them at their office if they have one.
Right.
There's a local coffee shop that has little conference rooms if I absolutely need to rent a space. But mostly, if you can't work with us virtually, we're not a good fit for you because we're asking you to upload things all the time.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle that on the front end, there's no way we're going to be a good fit long term.
Yeah, well, I've got an arrangement with a co-worker because I live in Carson City, but I have an arrangement. I no longer deal with many local clients. I used to be a kind of very traditional digital local agency that really tried to get most of their clients in Northern Nevada. And then I did a big job in around learning management system, and we really enjoyed the project. And I was attracted to it. So I kind of aim WP-Tonic now in the building of learning management systems and membership sites and WooCommerce. And that's what we specialize in now. So my amount of local clients over the past 3 years has diminished quite substantially, but I still have a couple. And for that, I have an arrangement at a co-working facility in Reno where I pay a minimum amount and I have access to their conference room if it's necessary.
Yeah, and I was doing that for a while because I had a lot of really local clients. But really,
you were similar. You decided to specialize in veterinary.
Yeah. So we actually, our clients are across the country. We have clients from California to North Carolina right now, and that's what we want. We're looking for the small amount of perfect fit clients, and that doesn't have to be in the Denver area.
So this decision, very similar to my own, to specialize in a niche industry. How beneficial has that decision been to your business then?
I drug my feet for way too long. Guys. Make a choice and do it. It's been amazing. It's been amazing to focus my efforts and to focus how we work and to focus how we help people, because it is a niche industry, and they have their own set of things that really works for them or doesn't work for them, and the way that things are changing. And it's actually very parallel to the accounting industry, and which I keep my thumb on a lot of the time. So it's very interesting to learn more about the industry and learn how it's growing, because it's changing and growing very rapidly, but also in the same trajectory as accounting. So it's actually kind of fun.
And obviously, being that you're specialising in that niche, I would imagine that you can offer so much more value because you get to learn the ins and outs of that industry very closely. You build relationships. It's much easier to get referrals. It's a win-win, not only for the client, but for your practice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a win-win, and it's been a win-win for the podcast. So it's been a win-win to, go into LinkedIn and really go towards the people who really work in this industry and offer them some time on the podcast. We have a ton of listeners. It's good for them. It's good
You
for
know,
us.
I've got a much more specialised. It's a WordPress. I get between 4,000 to 5,000 listeners per month.
Yeah.
If for you to get over 20,000, even with that, I'm still in the 20% bracket, because most podcasts get about 400 listeners a month.
Yeah.
400 to 500.
That's crazy.
So we're both in the 20%. You a lot more, but you must be getting a lot more than veterinarians listening to your podcast.
So our podcast is national. Is not as also international. So we have I actually don't know the data now, but we're in. Last I heard, we were in 80 countries. Mm-hmm. We had listeners in 80 countries. I think we are in all the states now. We might have a few that we haven't turned yet. But yeah, so we have. So
are you saying that you're also on the radio as well?
No, no.
You're just talking about. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time? I think we're going to end the podcast part of the show. If Jamie's okay, we'll have some bonus content where we get into some financial advice. And
sounds good.
That sounds good. So, Jamie, how's the best way for people to find out more about you and maybe get hold of you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jamie O'Kane CPA, CTC. I'm a certified tax coach, which is those last 3 letters. You can find us at the Abundant Beans podcast. We're on all the platforms and YouTube. You can hit me up on Facebook. And then the CPA firm is JE O'Kane CPA.com.
That's great. We will be next. I was mixing my words there, folks. We'll be back next week, folks, with another great guest like Jamie, trying to give you insight to make your business more successful in 2020. And if you really want to support the show, go to the WP-Tonic website and join our newsletter list. There's a pop-up that comes up straight away, and also it's in the inner pages on the sidebar. And we also we're doing a prize as well. Every month, 1 new subscriber per month can win a prize up to the value of $100 plus. And I will be announcing the first winner of that next week. So we will be looking at those that have subscribed in March and then choosing one of them. I'll just throw a dart at the dartboard, and I'll be emailing them to see if they want the prize. And
Jonathan, can I do one more? Can I talk about one more thing real fast?
Of course you can.
We are creating a Facebook group to support small businesses in this time. I'm expecting it to launch tomorrow. So just a heads up, it'll be attached to the Abundant Beans Facebook page. It'll be the Abundant Beans support community. This is a hard time for small businesses, and I just have a heart to support people and see if there's any way we can help them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like I say, thanks for that, Jamie. And like I say, join the newsletter, the WP-Tonic newsletter. We send all information about e-learning and WordPress. And I put a fair bit of effort into that, in providing the latest, most interesting stories. We will be back next week, hopefully with my co-host and another great guest like Jamie. Speak to you. See you soon, folks. Bye. So coming back, when it comes to freelancing, you get a lot of people that have been working for digital agencies as a normal employee, and then they go freelance, and there can be some rude awakenings with being a freelancer, with taxation and other matters. What are some of the most basic mistakes you see a lot of newbie freelancers, self-employed people making?
I think, the biggest mistake I think we see is mindset. A lot of the time, people are trying to just replace their salary, but really what they're doing is building a business, and they don't understand that they're building a business. That's the biggest issue I see with a lot of people who are jumping out on their own in any industry, quite honestly. It's mindset. They don't understand they're building a business. And they don't, coming from being an employee, there's a lot of things they don't know and they don't see by being an employee. I've had C-suite execs start businesses and not know what the heck they're doing because they don't see every facet of the business, and they don't understand how it works. So I think that's the biggest issue. The other thing is just tax planning. What am I going to owe? How do we mitigate? How do I get insurance? There's a lot of different ways that we can structure things, but that's the biggest issue is mindset.
Oh, can I ask you, that's an interesting answer, actually. I wasn't expecting you to answer that in that way. Do you think also like professional service businesses like lawyers, CPAs, do you think their mindsets are being forced to change? Because when I was not specialising in learning management systems, I did have some CPAs and I did have some lawyers as clients. And they were very resistant about spending money on marketing and sales. Yeah. And they seem to have a very on-off attitude to the whole thing in a way. I'm not really explaining it that well.
No, I think you are. So, what I do find in the accounting, and especially in the accounting industry, is you're dealing with a lot of introverts that just want to hammer out product, right? They don't really understand how to advise people. They don't really want to. They just want to do their tax returns and then, take 5 or 6 months off. Right. So it's a mind shift. But there's also, we've gone from people really needing that person to hang up their shingles so they can walk in the door to really a global economy of knowledge. So when I listen to the Soul of Enterprise podcast with Ron Baker. He's one of the foremost people on the knowledge economy. And it's just very important that we shift to understanding that we are salespeople the second we start our own business. We are salespeople. And that doesn't mean we have to be salesy. That just means we have to figure out how do we help people and who are we helping?
Yeah, you've got to have a clear understanding on what your target audience is, really. And that's difficult, isn't it?
Really.
How long did it take you to really realise that the veterinary... and I didn't really ask you that in the main part of the interview. Why veterinarians? What led to that decision to specialise in that particular area?
Yeah. So the important things to us, when I got real clear on who psychographically and demographically I wanted to work with, veterinarians just kind of fell in my lap, quite honestly. I decided that, I really want really good people who are really good at their craft, who don't understand business, and have the ability to grow a business that creates cash so we can do tax planning for them. So those are the big things I wanted. And I was, I'm a type A. I want people to do what, I know my stuff. I want you to do what I tell you to do. And it's really hard to find a good demographic in an industry that allows for that. Veterinarians are the humble doctors. My friend said that the other day. Veterinarians are the humble doctors. They don't think they know everything. They understand their craft, and a lot of them understand how to run a practice, but they don't understand taxes. They don't understand their numbers. They don't understand bookkeeping. And that's what we're here for. And they know they don't understand those things.
Yeah, cool. Well, obviously they want to practice their skill, which is which is the treatment of animals.
And then grow a sustainable business. That's all they want,
I know a little bit about your particular target industry. I understand that for many years, the actual treatment of the animals was actually subsidized by the selling of drugs. And that particular model imploded because of online companies that can sell drugs directly for the treatment of animals. So the margins that were subsidizing the actual physical treatment of animals imploded. Has that sorted itself out to some extent, or is that still a major problem?
It's interesting. I kind of want to bring it back to accounting because we're watching TurboTax take over a huge portion of our margins, a huge portion of the product, right? So it's actually very similar to what I'm watching happening again, what I'm watching happening in the accounting industry right now. Yes. So a lot of the industry they have to shift. They have to provide their own online pharmacies, which is an option. There's a lot of options to do that. A lot of them are moving into telemedicine right now, because that is what needs to be happening right now for all of these veterinary firms or all these veterinary practices. They need to be doing telemedicine, or they need to be doing mobile medicine. Those are their two options right now, because people are canceling appointments, with this quarantine stuff. It's a huge deal, but the animals still need care.
Yeah, it's which is linked to flexibility of mind and not getting stuck in your ways totally, isn't it?
Which is why we work with women-owned practices, because they generally tend to be more flexible, and they want to build businesses where they don't have to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, I can see that, but I've always prided myself on my flexibility.
I love flexibility. I mean, obviously, I have a distributed team. We work virtually. I want people to have flexibility, and I don't want my team working more than 40 hours a week.
So, how do you see just to finish off, obviously we're dealing with this virus situation, which is a very fluid. I cannot make head or tail of it to some extent about how it just seems much more contagious than other similar outbreaks. It seems to affect older people, but there was a number of instances of younger doctors in China and in Italy. The actual death percentage seems to be higher in certain countries, especially in Iran, some extent in China. There seems to be a lot of contradictory information, which is not surprising in such a situation. But how do you think economically this is going to play out in the next 4 to 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to speak on what I'm understanding about the virus, because I do a lot of reading in this stuff too, because it's fascinating to me. I grew up in doctors' offices. My mom ran doctors' offices. She ran billing companies. I was a birth doula for 5 or 6 years. I've been in the industry. I understand a lot of things medically that probably most people don't. What we're understanding about the virus is that because it's a brand new virus, we have no immunities for this virus. Therefore, it's spreading rapidly. Also, it lasts on surfaces, it lasts in the air. So that's why it's spreading so rapidly, on top of the fact that we have no immunity for this virus. And then the other things I'm understanding is that the death rates are different for different countries based on their comorbidities. So whatever they have in that country in a higher rate. So if they have more heart disease, here in America, we have more obesity. But we also have an aging population that has lived longer than any other generations because of medical advances. This virus is really bad for the lungs. And some of the things that we use as a country, a lot of, especially like in the mom circles and stuff to deal with viruses, is actually opposite of what needs to be happening with this virus. So there's a huge base of people that use elderberry syrup to help fight viruses. What I'm understanding is that actually can advance the virus and the damage to the lungs. So just so you know, obviously I read a lot. I'm watching The Experts right now. Michael Osterholm was on the Joe Rogan show last week, and I don't even listen to Joe Rogan, but this was a really good episode. And if it's something that people really want to understand what's going on with this virus, I highly recommend him. He is one of the top epidemiologists in the world, and he talks about why this thing
It's funny about that you mentioned about Joe, because I have the same feeling. I do listen occasionally to Joe's. And sometimes I can think some of his interviews are fantastic. Other times I literally want to throw something at the speaker. It's a bit like
I don't know who Joe Rogan is or why Joe Rogan has a platform, but Joe Rogan has a platform, and I've tried to listen to a few things, but it's the specific sometimes he has the ability to have on these top people, you know, and so when I'm looking for, you know,
well, he has
interviews
over 1
with
million
top
people listen to him. That's
right,
why.
right.
I have the same feeling with Sam Harris, actually.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes I can listen to Sam and his interview. Other times I literally want to throw something at the speaker.
The 4-hour work week guy does 2-hour podcasts. I don't have time, Sam. All right, ask me tax stuff. Let's talk about tax stuff.
I think we're going to wrap it up there, but we had to mention the plague, really.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. Go on, sorry.
So I can just say real quick, we're watching legislation come down right now from the IRS and from the states on filing dates, and I'll just talk about that real fast because most people are asking me about it. The tax return filing dates have not been extended or changed. You still have the option to file an extension. Extensions have always been an option. It's a 6-month extension from April to September for the personals. The business deadline was the 15th. So if you didn't get your extension in and you're sick, I'm sure we can, you know, there's medical reasons to have not filed. But those extensions are also 6-month extensions. So all of that stuff is the same. What has changed is they're giving people from, you know, the payment deadline of April 15th, which has always been the payment deadline. If you extend your return, you still have to pay by April 15th. They've extended the payment deadline to June 15th, I believe. So they're giving people 2 more months to get their payments in. That does not include first quarter payments, so first quarter estimates, or maybe it does. It does. It includes first quarter estimates. It does not include second quarter estimates. We're still, all this stuff, a lot of it has not become legislation until like yesterday, and we're waiting for guidance. We're always waiting for guidance from the IRS. They're probably sick too. So we got to wait on a lot of this, but what I want to say is if you can file now, file, especially if you're getting a refund. They want you to file and get that money back into the economy and into your pockets. If you owe and you can pay, please pay. Pay now. Let's not worrying about June 15th paying. If you can pay now, pay now.
I always ask for an extension.
I just extended my business because my miles aren't done. You know,
I just do
full disclosure, my mileage isn't done.
No, I just do it because I've had a very good year this last year, but there's something that suddenly has come up, and I need to discuss it with my tax advisor. Yeah. Which I'm actually going to do this afternoon.
That's a good idea. And then check in with me. Yeah. You know, and so some of the things I do want to say is the SBA has released new loans. You're going to need your tax returns done for that. If you don't have financials, you need financials. If you want to go renegotiate your loans because of the situation, you know, if your medical practice, now's a good time. If you want to go renegotiate your leases, now's a good time. You know, there's a lot of things we can do with this time to put us in a better space when this thing hopefully blows over.
Yes. Right, Jeremy, it's been a pleasure. I think we've offered a lot of value in the conversation. We've covered a lot of different areas. And I'm really looking forward to our chat next week.
Yeah, we're going to have you on next week.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week with another fabulous guest like Jamie. And see you soon, my beloved WP-Tonic tribe. See you soon.
Thank you for having me.